U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday he would ask the Republican-controlled Congress to extend federal control of Washington's city police force beyond 30 days.
We expect to be to Congress, before Congress, very quickly. And again, we think the Democrats will not do anything to stop crime, but we think the Republicans will do it almost unanimously. So we're going to need a crime bill that we're going to be putting in, and it's going to pertain initially to D.C. We're going to use it as a very positive example, and we're going to be asking for extensions on that, long-term extensions, because you can't have 30 days.
That marks an escalation of Trump's campaign to exert presidential power over the nation's capital after he said on Monday he was deploying 800 National Guard troops to Washington and invoked the District of Columbia Home Rule Act to place city police under direct federal control for 30 days. A White House official said more than 1,450 law enforcement personnel were on patrol in Washington on Tuesday night, including hundreds of federal officers and agents from more than a dozen agencies. This video shows Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arresting a man in the Capitol on Wednesday, as well as an ICE helicopter flying over the National Mall. Trump has painted a picture of D.C. as a city gripped by a wave of crime and pervasive homelessness, despite both federal and city statistics showing that violent crime there is on the decline. Without providing evidence, Trump claimed those numbers weren't true on Wednesday.
You're going to see a big change in Washington crime stats very soon. Or not the stats that they gave, because they turned out to be a total fraud. The real stats, the stats went through the roof. You know, they had a man that was forced to put up stats like they were doing better. They're not doing better. Crime is the worst it's ever been. But it started as of about yesterday. You see a big change.
U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told Fox Noticias that officials were looking into whether the city's statistics last year were manipulated. The office of the city's mayor, Muriel Bowser, declined to respond to Trump's latest comments, but she has previously noted that violent crime in the city hit a 30-year low last year. Any legislation to extend Trump's control over the police department would likely stall in the Senate, where Democrats can use procedural rules to block most bills. Trump told reporters on Wednesday that if Congress fails to act, he can declare a national emergency to extend the 30-day limit. However, legal experts say there are no grounds for such an extension in the Home Rule Act.
I told the U.S. president and all our European colleagues that Putin is bluffing. He is trying to put pressure on before the meeting in Alaska along all parts of the Ukrainian front. Russia is trying to show that it can occupy all of Ukraine. Of course, this is their desire. I told my colleagues, the U.S. president and our European friends, that Putin definitely does not want peace. He wants the occupation of our country, and we all really understand that. Putin will not be able to deceive anyone. We need further pressure for peace, not only American, but also European sanctions.
U.S. President Donald Trump was very clear on the fact that what the United States wants is to obtain a ceasefire during this meeting in Alaska. And it's very important that during this meeting, there could be a ceasefire obtained by the United States of America. And we support this initiative, as well as new prisoner exchanges and the liberation of children. The second element that was very clearly expressed by President Trump is that the question of Ukrainian territory can and will only be negotiated by the Ukrainian president. This is the position that we support, and it has been very clearly expressed by President Trump, and so this heralds our meetings in the future. The question of occupied territories will be crucial elements of a peace negotiation. They are inseparable from the peace guarantees for the rest of the Ukrainian territory and for Europe, and so they cannot be discussed without the presence of the Ukrainian president at the table. Today, there is no serious scheme of territorial exchange on the table.
So at the age of 1, Jiajia and Dada started to explore new things, including the bamboo leaves. We provide yin-yang in her habitat. They do just follow her mom right next to her, imitate the behavior of grabbing the bamboo or munching on the bamboo leaves. This is the first time we have panda cubs here in Hong Kong, so of course everyone is so happy and excited about it. And for me, I always wanted to share the joy and challenges with everyone here in Hong Kong as well as people around the world to learn about the pandas, the species, and of course our work as a caretaker and most important, the conservation messages of what we can do in our daily life to help wildlife like pandas or other endangered species in the region.
Supporters of Serbia's ruling party threw flares and firecrackers at anti-government protesters in the city of Novi Sad on Wednesday, prompting police to intervene to end the standoff. The violence was an escalation of 9-month-long protests in Serbia. Tensions rose after protests over a railway station roof collapse in Novi Sad last November that killed 16 people. The daily nationwide protests since have seen approval drop for Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić. On his Instagram account on Wednesday, Vučić published a video showing him sitting with supporters in front of the parliament.
Terrible things were done tonight in Novi Sad, but they're still doing them. When you show will and desire to solve things with peace, endurance, and patience, then you always bring victory in the end.
He said 16 police officers and around 60 backers of his Serbian Progressive Party had been injured in Novi Sad. Vučić also accused unidentified foreign powers of organising riots and vowed arrests would take place. Reuters could not independently verify his claims. The opposition Move Change movement said Vučić's loyalists have been responsible for Wednesday's clashes. Anti-government protesters have blamed corruption for the Novi Sad railway roof collapse and have demanded early elections that they hope would remove Vučić and his party from power after 13 years. Students, opposition and watchdogs accuse Vučić and allies of organised crime ties, political violence and media suppression, which they deny.
As Chinese consumers tighten their belts, luxury hotels across the country are finding new ways to stay afloat. Typically known for their gourmet restaurants and lavish banquet halls, hotels like the Baiyuan Grand in Beijing are making up for falling revenue indoors by hawking their food on the streets outside. The move has delighted residents like Mrs. Ma, who can now sample Baiyuan's signature crispy roast pigeon at a discount.
Their place is quite well known. I heard about it from my neighbors, so I came. It seemed quite popular. I came almost every day, except for one. I think it's a good idea and makes it very convenient for us residents.
Since opening in late July, Baiyuan's sales director says that the stall has sold about 130 pigeons a day, compared to about 80 before. She said that while that's better than the average caterer, it's still not enough to fully offset the fall in business indoors, where private dining room use has fallen from full to about 1/3 in the past few months, and the check average per head is down nearly 50%. Baiyuan is among at least 15 high-end hotels nationwide hawking food outside in recent weeks, according to their social media and Chinese news sites. Analysts say the hotel hawkers are another sign that deflationary pressures risk becoming entrenched in the world's second-largest economy, whose growth leans more on manufacturing and exports than on consumers. Consumer prices were flat year-on-year in July. Analysts also cite 40-cent breakfasts and supermarkets offering flash sales as deflationary signs. The change in strategy by high-end hotels might be a visible symptom of broader economic strains.
I think consumer...
Tianchen Xu is a senior economist at the Economist Intelligence Unit.
I would say it is just pretty normal for businesses, yeah. But of course, I mean, China's having some challenges at the moment. Yeah, so we now have, let's say, more businesses that are struggling. Then those are probably outperforming. If consumer prices, they are going deeper down, then it is a sign that more policies are needed and more, let's say, fiscal stimulus will be needed. Yeah, so that's true.